Bit of a situation this morning. The gorilla cannot join us until 9 o'clock. That's when we're going to have our private show. So until then, it's going to be the cowboy riding along with you. We're going to go ahead and just take a quick look at the market. If you remember, it's Monday, and on Mondays, we don't really have we don't. I don't like to enter on Mondays. I wait for the market to open. I wait for all that stuff, whatever stuff happened in the world, in the financial world, in the political world, everything to kind of get digested in the Monday morning news, if you will, before I enter any trades. So I definitely do that. And that's why I generally just, I take a look at the landscape, I take a look at the charts on Monday. I get used to kind of what's going on. And again, I just also literally just flipped this on, turned this on for our private members. So, again, private members, those who are viewing from the private room, the gorilla had something going on last night. He was up a little bit late. He's going to join us in about 20-30 minutes. So he's not, going to start with us right now on the live show. So if you are new to this show, new to this channel, Algo Factory is our name. Building algorithms and teaching people to do so is our game. There's the QR code. You can zap that, go to our website. There's the website, www.algofactory.tech. Just go there to see what we do. We start people from the beginning. If you don't know how to trade, anything like that, we can help you start, and get that part of it down. And don't get scared of the term algorithm. It's just algorithm is simply a process by which one trades. An algorithm is technically tying your shoes as an algorithm, going to the store as an algorithm. It's just a term that we use because it is really the right term when it comes to trading. It's a good term that'll catch all when it comes to what do we do and what do we build. And then, of course, if you're interested in coding that and hard coding it to where basically you will be able to say write a computer program that trades for you, you walk away. That is for a lot of people the end goal. We can help you towards that as well. And if you are with us, we have somebody who can do that at a much, much reduced price as far as programmers are concerned. So Valley Girl says, magnificent Monday morning. Yes, it's a beautiful Monday where we are. We've had like this really relatively mild summer. We had a couple of weeks where we live, where the summer kind of got to its normal, highs, if you will. But it's actually been really kind of nice and cool. It hasn't been so, blisteringly hot as it can be where we live. Of course, I live in the high desert, so it can get pretty hot, but I've lived in the desert. I've lived in the low desert before for a number of years too. That's hot. I hear people around here complain, oh man, it's 100 degrees. That's Fahrenheit for you non-US folks. They say, it's 100 degrees. Oh man, it's just so hot. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's hot. I lived in a place where it was 119, 120, and about 65, 70% humidity. I used to work outside, but I also used to use a computer when I did, and I had a couple computers short out on me. That's how hot it got. So I used to have to go into my car and then have the air conditioner running just so I could use my computer. So yeah, people complaining that it's hot. I just think that's funny. I think that's a funny thing. So anyway, let me see if anybody's talking in the main chat. Don't see anybody yet. Quiet Monday. That's good. It's not a bad thing. I'm going to go ahead and start taking a look. I know today I don't think has any news as far as, like news that might move markets, economic data announcements. Not until later this evening. So let me go ahead and bring that up. We'll start there. It looks like it's pretty quiet on the in the YouTube right now as far as people who are live. But if you're watching this as like a replay, you are welcome to join us. We do this 8:30 a.m. EST until 9 a.m. EST as far as YouTube is concerned. If you're part of a private group, we go for another hour after that, and we actually get a little bit more technical. This is aimed at beginners, people who have questions. So if you are new to trading, feel free to join us here on YouTube and ask questions, and we can field those as well as we can. It's basically it's just free service, free content. So let me go ahead and share the screen. We'll take a look at the news for the week, and then we'll take a look at some charts and see if there's any setups, that we can look at. We got Yeah, here it is. Not until what that is 9:30 EST. 9:30 EST. There are some Aussie dollar announcements. There's monetary policy minutes. So what they're going to do is they're going to review what they talked about as far as the last their version of like the Fed, the FOMC. They're going to talk about what that was. So if you're playing the Aussie dollar and it's 9:30 EST here in the States, or of course over there, I don't even know what time that is. I think they're like 14 hours ahead or 16 hours ahead, something like that. Whatever it might be. If you're in Australia and they're doing that, then you gotta watch yourself in those trades, because the Aussie dollar will move around. The Aussie dollar will make some pretty crazy moves and potentially knock you out of your trade. And then there's the Chinese yen, some industrial production data. I don't trade the Chinese yen. I think that might be an interesting currency to look at in the future. Honestly, I'm not even sure if my broker covers that. I just don't, or I should say, list that. I have never checked, but given China and its position in world events and everything else, it might be one to start looking at. I don't know what the liquidity is like. I'll do a little research on that. It certainly isn't one of the 8 majors at this point, and a lot of the Chinese economy financially, of course, and people may or may not know this, but a lot of the Chinese economy financially is heavily linked to the United States dollar. So they use the dollar still. I know there's a lot of news that says otherwise, but that's just the reality of it for now, and that's how it is around the world. Tomorrow at the London Open, there's some GBP information. So claimant count change, I imagine that's employment information, changing the number of people claiming unemployment-related benefits during the previous month, and actual less than forecast is good for currency. So what that means is that if less people are claiming unemployment, then the pound will go up, and the opposite if more people than expected are claiming. And right now, looks like the expected is 200. Well, there isn't an expected number yet. There's no forecast number that I can see here. I'm going to go ahead and reset this calendar. Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, so, no forecast yet, but I'm sure there will be. Or if not, there won't be. So tomorrow, though, if you're going to be trading USD or CAD pairs, there will be some data coming out, and that'll be an hour before market open, which is, in my opinion, kind of nice, because the market open tends to bring volatility, and you're looking at. If you're trading the USD CAD, you might see some volatility. Depends on whether this data is mixed or not, right? So the Canadian CPI, that's a big number for the Canadian dollar. So that's the all your inflation data comes out. So if that data is all in the same direction, then you're going to be looking at, that you're going to be looking at everything moving in a direction. So sometimes, though, these data come out mixed. There's month over month data, and then there's year over year data. Trimmed CPI looks like they're changing the data somehow, excluding the most volatile 40% of items. So trimmed CPI seems to be a more calmer look because they take out the most volatile items. I'm not sure what the use is for that. But perhaps, I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason for it. For me, it would come down to volume. If the most volatile items comprise most of the volume, then why do you trim it? But I don't know. They do what they do for whatever reason they do it. And then you have USD core retail sales month over month. So that's going to be an indication of purchasing power. And also it's going to be a, not just purchasing power, but I would almost say consumer confidence, because sales are up. People are happy to spend money. That's one way to look at it. So if sales are up, then I would imagine interest rates might go up. It would be good for the dollar. Or, okay, so when the economy looks strong, that means more rate hikes might come. So anything that makes the economy look strong, then the wisdom, and probably the same with the Canadian dollar, the wisdom is that Powell might hike rates, because hiking rates is supposed to, in a sense, in a roundabout way, weaken the economy, right? Hiking rates is supposed to slow money velocity down, make money more expensive. And so if the economy is still showing signs of strength, then the rate hikes might continue. the beatings will continue until morale gets weaker, in this case, the opposite of the common saying. So if retail sales are up, that means people are comfortable spending money, meaning that the economy is looking good, meaning that interest rate hikes might continue. Let's see if I got that right. Change in the total value, actual greater than forecast, good for currency. So I did say that properly. And that's probably going to be the same across here for the manufacturing index and the retail sales. So tomorrow is going to be pretty, it might be a little wild for the USD CAD pair, and any related, anything with the Canadian dollar or the USD is probably going to see some action at 6:30 a.m. I'd imagine by within minutes though, because things are, August is a very slow month. So, that's the case. A lot of the news, even the bigger news, seems to not be having as much effect. I think CPI was digested pretty quickly last week. So, any major news itself, it doesn't seem to be having the same effect right now. So if this week is anything like last week, then we're probably looking at a quick digest and then a return to the mean in the market direction. And so that's a trade that I took last week, had to do with that. It had, price got pushed in one direction by CPI, and then it actually relatively violently flew back the other direction, and I was able to catch that move. Valgirl's asking anything going on with interest rates. Valgir, I'm not sure how to answer that question. Can you elaborate? Because that's a very general question. The question in a private group, so we're not seeing that in the YouTube right now. But yeah, I would need you to elaborate on that question in order to answer that properly. There's always something going on with interest rates, but I don't think we have the FOMC. If anything, we might have the minutes this week. Here it is. Yeah. So on Wednesday, we do have. Well, let's go down the list here proper. New Zealand at 10 p.m. EST, so that's in the United States pretty late in the evening before the European Open. New Zealand talks about the official cash rate. All of their, basically their monetary policy stuff's coming out. So at that time, it's probably going to be pretty wild to trade the New Zealand dollar. The British pound CPY. So that CPY is one of the hot tickets right now. But again, being August, even the hot tickets seem to be muted. But if you are trading the European session right at the European Open on Wednesday the 16th, which I think actually would technically be Thursday the 17th for most of the world, or at least for the world east of Europe and East, that might get a little wiki there on the Open. FOMC meeting minutes. So what'll happen there is we're going to learn at noon, and this might sort of answer Valley Girl's question. Valley Girl, the answer is that's the $1 million question. No one knows if they're going to go up or down. Okay, people make their guess on the interest rates, but you don't know until they announce it. So that's that. And the interest rates have to do with the FOMC minutes, and they have to do with the monetary policy. So it's something we talk about pretty often on this show. So the FOMC minutes are basically a review of what was said at the Fed Open Market Committee, which the FOMC, I think that was last week. It tends to be a week before the minutes are released, and they talk about what the monetary policy is going ahead. Are they going to raise rates? Are they not going to raise rates? And I think last week was, I want to say they hiked, or it was 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. I think they hiked 25 basis points, and everything is going to depend on the data coming in. So that's what they're saying. That's what Fed Chair Powell, as I call him, that's what he says at these meetings. The presser that happens after the Fed Open Market Committee, he always says it's going to depend on the data coming in. So that's your answer right there, Valley Girl. Depends on the data coming in. I think we'll see a few hikes before the hiking is over. That's the best I can give you, and I don't know when it's going to happen. I know that their hike was priced in this last time around, so it wasn't a very big surprise. And whatever happens next month happens next month. I don't think we're going to see any more pauses until we see some more carnage in the market. We're starting to see a little bit of carnage in the market as far as the indices are concerned. So we'll have to go along with that. Ben says, hello there, greetings from Germany. Ben, I think I know who you are. Thanks for joining us. Always good to have some of my online friends join us. Thursday, we do have unemployment claims that will probably give us some volatility because, of course, that's going to determine weakness in the economy. Remember, everybody, these numbers are often fake and fudged. So even if they are fake and fudged, the market will react as if they're not. So we're not really concerned about the reality of the market. We're concerned about what the numbers say and how we can use the market and the charts to react to them and profit, right? So we're not going to get into a philosophical conversation about all these numbers are fake. It's like we're going to get into a functional conversation of how are we going to profit using this data. And again, right now in the month of August, with everything being so low volatility as August usually is, whatever news happens, if the unemployment data, like let's take a look at the euro really quick. We'll come off a gold chart here for USD. Okay, so my time frame, the euro is bearish right now against the dollar. In fact, if you look, the euro has broken a support, so we can probably expect a series of shorts. So let me go ahead and break this out. I think it's the 18-hour we're looking at. So price action wise, you have the euro breaking out of a, how long was this? From the 27th of July. So a 2-3 week consolidation. It may break out. I think it has a decent chance. Technically, I would wait for this candle to close, but it does look like it's about to. All right, so let me draw that out. I think we're kind of looking at a range that looks like this right now. It's a pretty decent depiction of the range. And obviously the candle has gone below, but again, this candle dumped below and came back up, right? And you do have a midterm support here where price may bounce back, but that's pretty far down. So we may still well see that breakout. And if that does break out, then we're looking at the dollar getting stronger against the euro. If I were to take a look at the DXY, we probably will see the same thing. Let me see. I'm going to bust out another chart here on a different map here. Look at the Dixie. Okay, so this is the US dollar index. This is the dollar compared to other currencies. So it might be that the euro is a little bit of an anomaly, because if you look at the dollar compared to like a lot of the major currencies, the dollar is still within a consolidation. So that dollar compared to the euro is actually different to a lot of these charts, where you have the dollar kind of stuck still in this range. So we're seeing some significant change in the euro, right? Because there's the dollar versus the euro, which is going to be kind of the opposite of the Dixie, where we could invert this chart to really get a good sense of it. So this is an inverted EUR USD chart, and we can compare it to the Dixie with an overlay. DXY. We'll do it on the same percent scale. And then I will change this to candles. And let's see, we'll make these candles all bright yellow. Okay, so you can see how right now, see, this is the Dixie, right? Let's make sure we've got the right chart up here. Yeah, Dixie. So, okay, so it isn't anomalous. Okay, so I guess whatever Dixie I looked at over here, it's maybe it's because I had it on a higher time frame. All right. Well, in that case, yeah, that's it. That's why I'm looking at this on the monthly. So monthly, it's actually still in a consolidation. But if I were to drop down to wherever we were, 18-hour, I think it was, and then draw that range. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense now. Okay. So the euro is not anomalous. I just had the wrong time frame up. Okay, so back to the actual overlay. It is pretty much following everything else. So we can get rid of this inversion. We can go back to reality. See what you got to do. You got to check things. All right, so on Oanda, where's my drawings? Oanda. Okay, there we go. So what we're looking at is there's room to fall, but not a whole lot. It's going to want to eat up this liquidity, right? So if we were to go ahead and use our fixed range, Jay Barton, what's up, Jay? Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Fixed range. So we're going to see if there's any liquidity that it wants to eat up. Because, I'm not spending my 20 grand a month on the Bloomberg, so I got to use my tools. And we got, up through this whole kind of area, there's a decent amount of liquidity that price is going to want to go eat. But below that, once you start to get below the box I just drew, you're going to start to kind of hit a blank in liquidity. So if price does manage to make its way down towards this line right here, it's going to want to actually head back up. So that being the case, where's my path? I always gripe about TradingView changing everything. There's a decent chance that if this does head down, the way it's going to work and the way I would trade it is look for a quick bearish retest and then look for a short down to about this area. Remember, this is the 18 hour, so it doesn't look like much of a trade, but it's actually quite a trade. Because I'll be able to go on the lower time frame and get a better stop loss on that. So it'll probably look something like that, something along those lines. Probably have a tighter stop than that, but that's the look of the trade, and it'll probably happen actually a lot more quickly than that. Probably happen something like this. But that'll, that's more or less the trade to look at. And of course, this being the 18 hour and me being a day trader, I'll probably take 3 or 4 trades on the way down and be able to swipe some profit out of that. Okay. No, Jay, DE is Deutschland, not Delaware. Let's see here. Unless you're joking, you probably know that. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, so that's that. That's that for the Euro chart. So back to the news, of course, and how that relates to the chart that I just drew. Unemployment claims, whatever happens with that, chances are, like I said, it's probably just going to revert. All right, so let's go like this. That's going to be on Thursday. We'll just do that for an example, just to kind of take a look at how this might go. Okay, so we're going to go to a lower time frame. Maybe, yeah, that's too low. Let's go to the half hour. We'll go to the 3 hour. That's good. All right. So price is probably going to want to do, again, something along these lines, right? And it may happen a bit quicker than what I just drew, but you can see Thursday is what, 15th, 16th, 17th. So by the time Thursday hits, if my timeline is correct on this, if my kind of the way I've drawn this is right on the timeline, price, if it's not all the way down, is going to want to continue down, right? So if it's Thursday and price is up here and price still has downward momentum and it's done what I think it's going to do, there's a good chance that whatever happens with unemployment, it's going to maybe push it down further, right? Or if the number for unemployment is, say, dollar weaker, if the unemployment is higher than expected, then you might get one of these, but then one of these right after that, right? So whatever the general direction of things is by that time is probably going to be where price reverts to. And that's probably going to be the same across the board unless we get something happen in August, which is really a strong event that causes a big change in the way things are going. But But yeah, Valgrill said it. Yeah, V is he's not MIA. He's just MIA up until he's probably going to join us within the next like 5 minutes. He might not be able to join us until we get into the private group though. So, and that there are 5 minutes left in that. So I'm going to go ahead and start the whole. Well, let's finish the look on the week, and then we'll start moving over there. Well, that really is kind of it. I mean, there's not much for the rest of the week in news. You have some Aussie dollar on Wednesday evening. We have unemployment claims on Wednesday for the U.S., like we just talked about. FOMC minutes is probably the bigger news at noon on Wednesday, and that's I should say 2 p.m. EST. Yeah, Jay, Black Swan would be like, obviously no one knows what it could be. Otherwise it wouldn't be a Black Swan, it would be a gray rhino, right? So a Black Swan is an event that nobody sees coming, or at least very few. Let's just say the market doesn't see it coming, right? That's a Black Swan. A gray rhino is an event that everybody sees coming, but it's kind of one of those ones where it's just a slow roller and it doesn't do anything until it does, right? So kind of like, for example, the BRICS situation with the new currency. A lot of people think that's going to like displace the dollar, but it's one of those things where whatever that displacement is, and to whatever degree that happens, is going to be a pretty slow thing from what we can see. I don't, the calmer, cooler heads who I tend to side with think that whatever happens with the BRICS is going to take some time because China is not interested in completely tanking the entire system. China makes a lot of money off the current system. They're not interested in throwing that off balance because that's a lot of instability. The the elites over in China make money off the current system. I don't think they're like wanting to trash it just yet. The United States hasn't done anything too stupid. So if the United States does something that's extremely harmful, to the Chinese, whether, that from the United States centric view, something harmful to the Chinese might be good for the US. I mean, I don't think that's really the case for the cooler heads, but you have some people who, are convinced that China is just evil. But the reality is that I don't think any of that's going to happen necessarily. So unless something does happen where, there's an invasion of Taiwan or something where, I don't know, who knows what goes on. Until then, I don't see the dollar being displaced by the BRICS very quickly. If something does happen, if there's hostilities between the US and China, which I think are rather unlikely, I think that things will just happen slowly. I think it'll be a slow, as Tom Luongo says, a slow, orderly exit from the dollar. And that's fine. Because that will allow us to make money in a slow and orderly fashion. But if there's a lot of volatility, we'll take advantage of that too. So up or down at Algo Factory, we make money, right? Up or down, either way. And again, August, according to the Gorilla, may have, he said this publicly, so I can say it here. August may be a hot month. We might uncharacteristically get some volatility. That would be event driven. So always be on the lookout for that. That wouldn't be, it's Black Swan-ish. I think there's, we know there might be something to happen and we're not the masters of the universe. So I guarantee you the rest of the financial world who make things happen probably knows there might be some kind of a landmine. So that being said, though, I think we are here at the end of our free version. So thank everybody for joining. Ben, Jay, Valley Girl, and who else did we have? I think that's it. I thought I saw a few more people, but whatever that might be, thank you all for coming on. Remember, if you're catching this on a replay, come join us. Ask questions. We can help you as far as, understanding some of this economic data or understanding how the charts work. This is aimed at beginners, this morning session. So, that's the case. And we will see you all tomorrow morning, same bat time, 8:30 a.m. EST to 9. All right. Thank you all for being here.